everyone, and welcome back here into the shop. Today is very exciting because the project I have for you is something that you can do at home by yourself. I still don't have 220 here in the shop yet, but as of right now I don't have access to things like the bandsaw, the planer, the jointer, and the table saw. And you know, that kind of got me thinking that, you know, there's many of you guys out there who have a shop of your own. You might not have, you know, big fancy equipment like this, but you still want to make something. So the things to keep in mind with this project specifically is going to be that you can do it with only hand tools. That's number one. And number two is that the material cost for this is only about 50 bucks. And what I have here are 6 2x4s at 8 feet long, and then 3 2x2s also at 8 feet long. And this is my chicken scratch of a drawing of what I plan on making. This is going to be a desk. So this top right here is going to be laminated out of those 2x4s right there. And then the legs, as well as these cross members here and here, are going to be out of the 2x2s. And just for proof, just to show you guys, the receipt at the hardware store was $44.60, and then the total was $48.24. So under 50 bucks. Now the one thing I do want to let you know is that I will be using a power drill, which I'm sure many of you guys have at your shop or your home, in your garage or something. So just a little heads up, if you don't have a drill, you could then borrow one from a neighbor. I mean, there's a way to make this happen if you don't have that. But that's the idea for this video. I hope that you guys enjoy this and find it inspiring or useful, and let's get to it. And when you actually clamp your pieces into the vise, make sure they're actually level, because if it's off a little bit, then you're gonna cut off a little bit. So you want to have it nice and level and have that line plumb, and that will hopefully give us a nice straight cut. So I'll stick my thumb right on that line right there and kind of give the saw a couple passes just to get it started in the curve. Here, I'll kind of show you this up close. So my line is right on the left side of this curve, and I've been cutting all the way down, and you can see I'm almost towards the edge here, and I'm gonna make that final pass. And then one other thing you want to do is, if you're actually cutting longer stuff like this, keep a clamp or something at the end that could catch it so you don't fall and have that split off. Boom! So what I'm gonna do now is pick the better side of the two and then go through each one and kind of eliminate a couple of them. You can like totally obsess about the top and make it 100% perfect and have the right pieces oriented, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's all wood and it's gonna look pretty good anyway. So big old carpenter's triangle on here so I don't mess up this orientation. And that means we're gonna have to take off about 1/4 inch on each piece on both sides with the hand plane. So at the end of the day, there's gonna be a lot of shavings on the ground, and I got some work to do. So let's get to it. Here on the last pass, there we go. Alrighty, check that out. Got quite the pile going. So now that we have all 7 of our pieces here jointed on both sides, it's now going to be time to actually glue this whole thing up. And here's kind of food for thought for you. So all these shavings on the ground right here that I produced over the last maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour to do all those pieces, all this could have been sawdust, or, you know, shavings from the jointer, which probably would have taken me less than 5 minutes to do. I think these Bessie clamps are gonna be just long enough here. Perfect, so I'll grab a couple of these. So I know a glue up like this can look pretty intimidating, but I can promise you it's not that bad once you get to do it a couple times. But the thing you want to keep in mind is getting enough glue along the entire joint, and then obviously flipping that down and going each piece one at a time. And you can also kind of shimmy the pieces back and forth just to get that glue to be spread out. Last piece, there we go. And then start bringing these in. And And now I need to determine the height that this is actually going to sit at. So this is going to be a very scientific way here of figuring this out. So in the office, I actually have a standing desk, and off to the side where the buttons are, it actually tells you the height that it's at. And the setting that I really like is about 31 inches. So I'm gonna see if that would be good for this. And I'm kind of thinking also if like I'm not the only one using this desk, would it be actually a good height? So I guess the thing I would kind of think about is I could always make it 31 and then cut it down if I have to. And for you building this at home, I'm sure you can always adjust those measurements if you want it higher or lower as well. So if these are at 8 feet or 96 inches, that means we could get exactly 3 pieces out of one of them if we cut it at 32 inches. So I think that's gonna be what I do. That way there's hardly any waste on that first couple of pieces. Those first couple of pieces. So we'll get 3 legs out of this one and then 1 leg out of the other one. So before I lay out my mortise and tenons here on the legs and the cross members, I'm first planing these down to get a nice smooth finish and also get rid of, you know, the marks that you get from like the lumber store. And one other tip I kind of have for you here is when you're doing this and you're sanding it or planing it and you have a nice smooth edge that you worked hard on, you don't want to mar that when you clamp it in the vise. So a towel or an old washcloth or something like that is just perfect to stick in here. You can then stick your material inside and it's not going to ding up the side. So another tip for you. So this cross member right here is going to be 1.5 inches downwards because this top part is going to be mortised into the actual tabletop. Then this cross member here, I'm thinking it'll probably be 5 or 6 inches up. So 6 inches right there looks pretty good. So now we are going to be starting my favorite part of the project, which is going to be the mortise and tenons. Now, the thing to keep in mind here, if you're following along with this project, is to remember layout is key. Layout is the most important part of this. If you can at least get that right, chances are your cutting or your chopping or that kind of thing will turn out pretty good too. So the piece that's going to have the mortise, I like to bring that up and flush that up with the edge here. That way we can actually get our line for our correct depth of our tenon. And if you really want to, you can put like some squiggles just to know like, you know, that's going to be your waist piece right there. And you could either use a fancy marking gauge like this or a square. I used a square for several years when I first started. And then we can scribe with our marking gauge on here like this and then go on both sides. We can now actually use a chisel to cut in a knife wall on that edge. Wiggle it back and forth. And then there you go. And if anyone asks me if I actually did something today, I'm probably going to take a picture of this and just send it to them. Because honestly, I mean, the amount of work it takes to do this is pretty remarkable. So I think this is going to be actually a good spot to wrap up today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and found it useful. I know there was a lot of information that came at you, a lot of talking and all that kind of thing. We are going to be picking this back up here tomorrow and possibly finishing it. So I'm super excited for that. So stay tuned. And if you're watching this in the future, at the end of this video, you can go and watch that. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.